Morning, guys. We are here in Western Kentucky at Tad Ladd's Western Kentucky Whitetails here. Beautiful, beautiful place that Tad and his crew have, and we're involved in something pretty neat this week. We're doing some stuff here at the lodge with Tad and his crew on some properties, and looking over some builds and new properties, and kind of trying to make what he's already got a great operation here. Looking to do some stuff maybe in the future is some property builds, and be involved in that with them, and maybe even doing we talk about doing the property expos at the farm there on Deep Creek at my home farm, and maybe we'll down the road you'll see some of that stuff maybe held here. Beautiful place. We've got a great program as far as their plots, and we're just here going over some stuff with them. And then also what we're doing, guys, I've got some local clients here in the Western Kentucky area that we're meeting as well, that are involved at the meeting here at the lodge. So we are, this morning, what we're going to talk about, there's there's kind of a belief out there that you always hear, when you buy properties, how much, what should you look for? Is contour really what it's cracked up to be? And if you follow the channel at all, you'll know that contour to me is I always refer to that term as contour is king, right? So we're going to talk about today this morning here, while drinking some coffee, we're going to go over the pros and the cons of looking at when you're going to purchase a property, looking at something that's flat or something that has contour, and what you gain and what you lose. Now, like I said, I'm a huge contour fan. I cut my teeth in the industry in the whitetail world on contour, but I was also born and raised in central Michigan, where contour isn't necessarily predominant. And so, doing that, or being in that situation, I feel pretty blessed to see both of those situations, and then managed places all over the country where some of it was flat, some of it cedar swamps, and then obviously being down in that south or west central Illinois, southwest Wisconsin, with my guiding. Those experiences all tie in to this, what we're going to go over, guys. So we're going to flip this around, we're going to go over this on the board, and yeah, welcome to Western Kentucky. If you're ever in the area, look Tad and his crew up. Beautiful place. So what we've got here, guys, you can see the scenery gets a little better here while we're on the road, taking advantage of the good front porch this morning. Like I said, guys, what we're going to talk about, or we're going to go over the ins and outs. Now, on the heading of this, you'll see that I made the heading of the video, buy 40, get 80. Is that really something that you can do? So what we've done on the home farm is, the reason I use 40s, first of all, is because my average client every year, depending on the year, this year it's higher because I've got some larger properties that I'm doing with some folks, but my average client is 40 to 60 acres, so that's where that buy 40 get 80 comes from. Now, if we relate that to what I bought in at the Deep Creek farm here in Kentucky, what we've got is I purchased 70 and initially, I first initially bought the 72, and now I've added an acre and a half on that, so we're just shy. You could probably round it off when the survey's done, hopefully around 75 acres, right? So that's kind of, bought 72, got 145. So you're probably asking, yeah, right, that'd be great, right? Well, that is the truth. I have the program through where I've got this information here. Hunt Stand, you can do this as well, but Google Earth is probably one of the better places to do it on. But there's a lot of variables in this, guys. But what I can tell from my elevation changes on the Kentucky farm, if I were to flatten that out, we're not talking linear feet, we're going to go over that here, but if I were to just flatten that out as surface area, and take that, the linear increments that adds to the property, it comes up about 145 acres. So how is that? What's good about that? What's bad, right? So what we're going to talk about is the so obviously pay less and get more is never a bad thing. So on a 40-acre spectrum here, guys, this is just some raw numbers that we use. On a square 40, that here in Kentucky, nothing property line is square, but around a lot of the country, especially in the state of Michigan, this will resonate with you. So 1320 linear feet, property lines. What that computes to is, if you add just I've got a viewer here that's probably watching this that from Southwest Wisconsin area, but this is 100-foot elevation change. Now, 100-foot elevation change sometimes to some folks, that are hunting those, what we refer to as those flat-footed properties, that seems like a lot. Well, in ridge country around the country, 100-foot in elevation change in just one spot is not uncommon at all. I actually have 3 different spots from top to bottom that are 100-foot elevation change on my place in Kentucky, not just up to the center. So what we did is just try to do this simple, just to give you some ideas. If you put a 100-foot elevation change in the center of a square 40, that gains you. It doesn't sound like a lot at the initial, but your angle that it gets you, it gains you about 7 feet on each side. Well, if you divide this in half, well, how to do that is to figure out how much it really gains you total. As we come over here, and what you can see is it actually gained us about 14 feet per surveyed side, if you will, so property line. And then so it only gives you about 56 feet total. But when you do 56 feet and you put that into a 4 pi section, it actually gains you 4 acres. So I mean, is it just one elevation change in the center of 100 foot? Is it a huge deal? Gets you 4 acres, you bought 40. Well, we're gonna kind of relate to this, but on a price per acre point of view, you go into it, you're gaining yourself already $12,000 from what you didn't pay. So that's one thing, right? That's a huge plus. So like we talked, you buy 40 and you get 44. This is just one elevation change, guys. There are so many variables that tie into this, but most 40s that I see in ridge country, in contour areas, most 40s double. A lot of them at least get another 20 acres, maybe not a full 40, but a lot of those properties, when we start really doing the math and trying to do linear feet from the top of a ridge to the bottom, and then you pick that back up on the square surface area, most 40 acres in ridge country with continuous contour lines double in size. So what is that good for? What is that bad? Right? So let's go to number 2. So that gives you kind of some numbers. Number 2, the goods and the bads. So let's do the goods. The good part of it is, obviously, it gives you more surface area. The more surface area you've got, the more acreage that you have, the more value that you've got right off the bat. That is the good part of it. The other good part of that is maintaining a deer's mentality, or keeping him focused around more ups and downs and valleys and contour lines and scent checking this, scent checking that. You can really you can really tie in a deer into your property, a mature buck, any deer in general, when you have a lot of those places in more than just one spot flat, where he can really make some time going around, where he's not trying to be the athlete and climbing ridges that them ridges that wear us out as humans. Now, the bad part of that is it gets rugged, for the folks to navigate around, for us ourselves to really navigate around a property like that, right? It can bring some access issues on your fence rows, stuff like that. So the plot side of it here, the plot spectrum of it is, the bad thing of the plots is sometimes what that does is it limits areas that we can plant, because obviously this is kind of the spectrum. This is more of the focus that we want to do, obviously, to plan on, right? We don't want to be playing on contour lines such as this, because of erosion and everything else that comes with that. So that's one thing to really kind of focus on, is there's a point where it becomes too much, Most of the time though, it can work in your favor. So all in all, you gain more. In my feeling, you gain more, but it's all about, you know, plot placement, where that stuff has to be, not pulling stumps, you know, getting more into mulching when you're creating food plots, stuff like that, instead of just going in and creating more of erosion issues. And what you'll, you know, it all ties into, you know, when you hear that old slogan, bedding food high, bedding down low, what we got to remember is, guys, food up top, the doe's up top. What that does, it opens the door for buck bedding down low. So that all ties into the creation of the property, but that is part of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Part of it is sometimes the total plot acreage can be limited. We just have to work with what we've got, and maybe do some more excavation on those ridge tops, and kind of, you know, focus more on making sure a lot of that isn't interior, for the most part. Number 3 is obviously, just like we talked about, the price per acre. Your price per acre, actually, you gain a lot because you're getting more just square footage in general, more linear feet. Another thing to touch on, so number 4, moving through here, would be, you know, what is the best place to buy, where is the best place to buy. Now, this is all region specific. You know, here in Western Kentucky, where we're standing right now shooting this video, this is one of the areas in the country where contour is king. Now, contour, you know, is king in this area, because obviously, if we go down to the diagram here in the corner, this is where the linear feet, the total footage, comes into play. Anytime that you can take, you know, anytime that you can take linear footage, and, you know, the shortest point between two, or this, you know, shortest route between 2 points is obviously always a straight line in contour and in ridge country. When we're looking at, you know, when we're laying properties out per the contour, straight lines is not what we're doing. Obviously, you know, these critters don't like the straight line to begin with. Well, if you took this line, kind of that yarn effect, if you will, and we stretch this out, you're going to exceed, if not double, your perimeter sides by doing this. And like we said, guys, is what that does is that just maintains. It's easier to maintain that line of travel for longer distances, and the longer that you can maintain him, the better, and the more opportunities you have to kill him. So one of the things that I go over with my clients all the time is in this situation here, you know, when a buck enters the farm, my goal is for you is to not just, maybe this will resonate with you, like I tell my folks, you know, is maybe, you know, going into a normal farm where the movement through a farm is initially, you know, just accessing, you know, a lot of your filters coming off a property go through a property, and there's really nothing to stop them. Well, initially what we're doing is we're bringing movement in to a promoted line of travel, and then we're moving deer. Obviously, we're giving them an opportunity to move north or south in this situation, or left and right. Well, if you do this in multiple areas around the farm with contour, you could potentially have, you know, deer that divide a farm because of a ridge, that, you know, you have a north section and a south section, and, you know, you can potentially house way more critters in those areas than you could ever have, you know, on that, you know, like we refer to as flat-footed ground. You know, so where and why? Well, I'm a big believer in, you know, you know, I'd like to see my folks be able to use their properties more for just the deer hunting, obviously, and have it a family connection. And having that family connection means being centrally located, or within, if it's a property you're traveling, to me, that area to look for is within about 4 hours, 6 hours. You know, anything on the top of that, it gets a little of a stretch, and especially now with gas prices through the roof, that's all something to, you know, kind of relative to take advantage, you know, to take into consideration when you're purchasing, you know, properties. But this is kind of an overview, guys, of why contour is king, and what you can do with a property, and how much more time that you can hold, you know, that hold, and the and helps, which is the last point here to touch on, is trying to advance deer onto the next age structure. If a buck can come into your property and see everything that you've got and make super time because everything is flat, and you know, see everything on the property in 20 minutes. And like I said, the object is if you get one picture of him, you know, and then you might get a picture of him 2 days later, I want you to get a picture of him on 4 of these stand locations all around the property. And if we do that, he's more huntable, and you have a chance to advance that deer onto the next age structure, you and or your neighbors, if it's a team effort. So some things to think about there, guys, as far as contour, why we focus on stuff with contour. Not everybody has this opportunity around the country, and I realize that, but if you do, it's a very, very powerful piece of the puzzle. Don't overlook the opportunity to buy a property with contour.